Hello, my beautiful IU. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you're watching this. Welcome. I'm Marc Mangus, the Digital Shaman, and we have an amazing session today to talk about the journey through the stages of awakening. And this is a very personal journey for everyone. And we're going to talk about the elements of it that seem to be common across people that are having this experience. And with me today is my friend and fellow shaman, Nikola Breath, and he's going to be bringing in his perspective. And in particular, we're going to be talking about the fire shaman's view of awakening, which resonates with both of us because we were initiated as fire shamans. So just to bring in an example, a paradigm, a framework to look at how this awakening thing can be for some people and for an ancient lineage. So all of that's good. Nikola, say hello.
Hello, guys. Hello, Mark. Thank you for inviting me to your meeting. It's very interesting to see how we're going to present this fantastic topic, which you mentioned. It is very individual.
Yeah.
So, as a fire shaman myself, as well as you, brother, so we've been going through a lot, and our lineage is. As fire shamans, we are working with rapid transformations. So we are working with the fire, with the flame. So this is very, very interesting way to transform all trauma and to see the light, so to say.
Yeah, excellent. Well said. So I thought what we could do to get into this topic, this rather esoteric topic, and set our intention and create some sacred space is call in the directions. And for those of you who may be seeing this for the first time, this calling in the directions thing is it's exactly what we do to set our intention, to create sacred space, to call in our allies and the archetypes, the great archetypes of the directions, and really to connect to our lineage that goes back hundreds of years since before Inca, pre-Inca times. So without further ado, let's get into that. I'm going to be turning and facing the direction. Wind to the south, Mama, great serpent. Wrap your luminous coils around us. Show us how to shed our past like you shed your skin. All at once. Show us the beauty way of walking close to the earth like you do. Pampwe, Mama, come into our medicine space. Aho.
To the winds of the west, Mother Sister Jaguar, Otorongo, come to us from the place. Teach us the ways of fearlessness. Teach us the ways to connect with impeccability. Teach us the ways to walk through the shadow and transform shadows into our mighty creative tools. Protect our medicine space, Mother. Aho.
Aho. Winds in the north. Hummingbird, royal hummingbird, Siwakente, ancestors, all those who have come before and all those who will come after. Siwakente, show us how to drink only the sweet nectar of life. Show us how to have stillness even in flight and how to take the great journey of our lives. Ancestors, whisper your stories in our ears. Warm your hands by our fire. Come, Hampway, come into our medicine space and bring your wisdom. Aho.
The winds of the east, great eagle, condor, come to us with the rising sun. Teach us the way of spirit. Teach us to fly wing to wing with the great spirit. We teach us the way of vision. Lend us your eyes so we can see the big picture. Teach us to fly way with the spirit and energy, so we can connect to the quantum field, the field of infinite possibilities, so that we can heal all our wounds on all levels of reality. Aho.
Aho. Pachamama, great mother. Bring together all of our relations for healing. The plant people, the stone people, the fin, the fur, the hoof, the creepy crawlers, all of the seen and unseen. All of our relations, Mother, all of our relations, bring us together for healing. Bring your great wisdom and your support. Always there to heal us, always there to guide us, no matter what. We love you, great Mother. Come, Hampoi, come into our medicine space. Oh.
Inti Taita, Great Spirit, Father, Son, thank you for your photonic medicine, Father. Thank you for shining that light upon our Mother, Pachamama. Luminous ones, ancient ones, protect us, guide us, teach us the way of luminosity, teach us the way of enlightenment, show us the right way to lead our lives in the way of light, in the way of courage, knowing. Enlighten us, Father. Thank you for your presence. Aho.
Aho. Thank you, brother. I feel
Very welcome.
I feel more focused now. How it always works. So I thought a good way to kick this off would be, as we kind of set up up front, this awakening, this journey of awakening is very individual. It's very personal. And the best way that we can relate to it as humans is through stories, through awakening stories of each other, and share our experiences. And I want to get into that. I think we'll probably spend most of our time talking about that and any input that we get from the audience here, the chat. If you have questions or you have things to share, please get into the chat and we'll incorporate that into this discussion. But before we go there, I was hoping that Nikola, you could give us kind of an overview of the fire shaman's birth and kind of the three symbolic stages of awakening, just to give us a little structure for our conversation.
Okay, guys. The first stage, awakening. So it starts with some kind of inner stirring. It starts maybe even with some kind of a personal crisis, sudden realization, some kind of maybe even slow unfolding of awareness. This process can be very individual, but for a fire shaman, as we go along and educate ourselves in the lineage and receive this beautiful knowledge, so we learn to implement the flame, the fire. And for me personally, connection to the flame, to the fire, is the light. It's a very great tool to release a lot of burdened emotions, to understand myself a little bit better. And this is a symbolic act, very symbolic act, but a very helpful act. And repeating this beautiful ceremony, fire ceremony, releasing everything that is not necessary, is actually very good for our ancient brain. So this awakening process starts firstly by understanding our brain workings. So we are in a way asked to acquire some more knowledge about our inner workings. Once we understand this, once we understand that chemistry is actually in control of every single thought, every single present emotion, past emotion, we are beginning to get to the point where this awareness is beginning to awaken us. So this is a very, very crucial part if the awakening is to be a stable curve, because awakening can also become a cyclical thing if we are not having a healthy vessel, so to say, our body. So people used to say back in the day, in a healthy body, healthy spirit. So even in atheist societies, a society which I grew up in, old Yugoslavia, communist society. So communists used to mention the spirit at times, but never explaining what is the spirit. Everybody knew that a person, a human, has also a spirit. We are not only flesh. So to make it a bit more fundamental, to be sure that we are not skipping the parts of this awakening process, we really need to dig into the science of our brain, of the human body, and do everything necessary, as we shamans say, on the literal level, the level of the serpent, to stabilize this vessel, to stabilize this body, which then stabilizes automatically, harmonizes the brain, opens up the heart, and in a way coheres the organs, our senses, to a point which we begin to feel much more than this is just a synchronicity. We begin to feel that there is something much more out there that we need to keep on developing, progressing with. So this awakening can become a very joyful process once attained. So this is partly the first part of the fire shamans yes, awakening, so to say. So in the second stage, we can say we're kind of growing up. So we are trying to dismantle limiting beliefs. We are trying to recognize our shadows, impact of the trauma we had. And, trauma is a form of dense energy, as the shadow work is also kind of dense. And everything is connected to our chemical reactions, when we say before we treated our shadow work, before we treated our trauma, we react to the shadows from another, which are actually our own shadows. We react when our trauma is triggered. So in the second stage, growing up, I believe that we are so aware of the chemical processes in our body that we are, with awareness, balancing this chemical factory, so to say, in our brain and our bodies, so that we don't react anymore, so that we are responding to situations, so that we are more harmonious to what is going on within ourselves and around ourselves. So when that is said, we must meet all these energies, dense energies, with love, in a way. Love is the answer, because it has the greatest potential to transform all of this. So this means greater self-love, greater self-care, and, in a way, collaborating with oneself much more than we used to do before we came to the point to realize that we are awakening and we can reach higher in some cases to our connection to the spirit. So that said, trauma as such, or shadows, they're there to protect us in a way, but when their purpose is fulfilled, we must release them, and the best way to do it, the fire shamans will do it through fire ceremonies, of course, and through focused intention. So this is the way, and repetition, of course, then inspired action. There are so many great teachers out there. So we need to choose one or two or three teachers out there which resonate with us mostly. Finding this way which resonates with us mostly, so that we can adapt to a new process which is happening in our bodies and brains. So when all these trauma and shadows are released, they're nice and easy becoming to show themselves as a creative life force. And we begin to realize that divinity, to become divine, it's actually only becoming happy and creative, expressing a personal creative expression and maintaining this happiness. That's in a simple words said, somebody likes
Yeah.
more the words joy, joyousness, bliss. But all this needs to be balanced out as well, because these are also chemicals. So sometimes in the start of the awakening, these chemicals of joy and bliss, they can be overwhelming as well, but they also need to find a balance in a way. So
Yeah.
we also must focus on the positive and the negative parts of the awakening to create this balance, to find ourselves in the middle where we can uh, easier respond to whatever situation we are thrown into, whatever challenge we have in front of us. So I used to think about challenges before. Life is filled up with challenges for everybody, and challenges, of course, from one person to another. Uh, they can at times be a burden, but challenges are in real life a blessing. We can learn something from our challenges, and
Hmm.
we can also have a point of view on our trauma and on our shadows as something challenging that we need to work on to make ourselves better, make ourselves in a way artisans of this life, so that we can love ourselves in the right way, so that we can make an artwork of ourselves. So that said, uh, um, the third stage, then we are showing up. So all this knowledge that we implemented into ourselves, and that we got gifted by someone, um, this is now for sharing. This is now for something bigger than ourselves. We realize that we, in principle, are not our ego. We are actually, I would like to claim, we are the universe in a way, because each and every cell in our body contains all the functions necessary to function like our own body. So one cell is almost like a whole human being, and thinking in a quantum physics way, in that way, it opens up the mind to a whole another perspective. And in the third stage, when we are showing up to share this joy, bliss, presence that we have been given to help the whole besides ourselves, keeping ourselves in balance. It's very important, again, to blend spirituality with insights from science.
Hmm.
So, again, power of love is a
Yeah.
great key.
Thank you for that, Nikola, that kind of quick journey through the three stages. And I want to pick up on a theme that you hit a couple of times, which people that are new to hearing about this shamanic worldview, it may be surprising to them, and that is, in the traditions of Andean cosmology, specifically the Karo shamans, they look at us as integrated beings. All aspects of ourselves are here, and that we can't really work on or affect any aspect of our beings without affecting all of it. And so this leads into this notion of, I've heard what we do, what we practice called neuro shamanism. Also heard it called quantum shamanism. And I think, these are just words and labels, but what they're trying to express is that what we do doesn't preclude or demonize Western thought at all. It embraces it. And we know that, the brain is the primary driver of our physicality. And so anything that we do from a practice perspective has to include a knowledge and a synchronization of how the brain works. So I've done previous live sessions on the importance of ritual and how the ritual affects the brain, the importance of retreating, and how creating quiet and sacred space affects the brain. I've done several on eating and your lifestyle with food and how the food affects the body and the brain. So these are all aspects of Well, of my own personal journey for sure, but also I believe, from a body of knowledge, you were saying finding a teacher, find the knowledge that you need to kind of support you through these stages of awakening. There's a tremendous depth of knowledge out there, but we're trained from birth in the society that we live in to seek knowledge externally and integrate it in a very kind of cherry picked way. Like anything that supports our biases or anything that supports our preconceptions. And that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is you go within to do the work of awakening and use that as your guide to find the knowledge that you need to support your awakening. And that's a very different way of being than certainly I was taught. I started out as a young man being trained as a scientist in physics, where everything is, repeatability and um, rationalistic, mechanistic thinking, right? And I think you can see without too much of a stretch what that way of thinking has done to us and to the world. It's not balanced. And I talk about Aini, the concept of Aini in Andean cosmology of reciprocity, harmony with all things, including yourself. And I look at awakening the same way. It's a process of continually finding new states of balance. And you may feel unbalanced in between those states of balance, right? Because the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, God, is showing you, here's where you're out of balance. Here's where your work is. Not in anybody's perception but yours. You are feeling out of balance. So what do? Seek balance, right? And the other aspect of that, kind of integrating the Western world and the Western thinking for me, that's really crucial is one of the other bits of programming that we take on is when something's out of balance, we compartmentalize it. We say, oh, I have a health problem, or I'm overweight, or I have a chronic disease, or whatever, right? So I need to focus on that. And speaking for myself, I tried to do that for years. And what I eventually woke up to was that I didn't have a fill in the blank problem. I had a balance problem. I had a harmony problem. And I wasn't seeking harmony. And once I finally figured that out, I lost weight. I walked away from chronic pain. I stopped taking all the medications that I was taking. I was able to finally start integrating as a whole being. And I'm not there yet. I'm on the same journey as you guys. But what I can claim is that I now recognize that I'm on the path. Before I didn't. I saw the path as something else. I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and we were laughing because we had the same idea in our youth that, spiritual awakening was this almost unattainable concept and it was very linear. You start out kind of like in a dark cave, knowing nothing, right? And at the end of the path, you're having tea with the Dalai Lama, right? And I can tell you, for me, it doesn't work that way. And a lot of the people I connect with on a regular basis that are doing this work, it doesn't work that way. It's a spiral. And each time around the spiral, you're changed. You become a different person, right? And you may come back around and have to work on the same issue again, but it's as a different person. You're evolving each time you go around. So your perspective shifts. You're going, yeah, I still have that family issue, or I still have, self-love, self-esteem issue, whatever. But each time around, you get new clarity, new insight. And to me, Nikola, you talked about joy before. and what a critical component it is. I can echo that because what I've found, and I've heard from others as well, is each time you shift something. I won't even say that you attain or achieve because those are the wrong words, right? But you shift something in your consciousness, it lets more joy in. And for me, what I find is there are these periods where I experience spontaneous joy and happiness like I've never experienced. Well, maybe I did when I was a little kid. I hadn't been programmed yet, but that's amazing. That's like one of the side benefits of doing this work, right? Is I mean, just walking around happy, like somebody who doesn't understand would think you're just an idiot, right? But you're walking around feeling joy, feeling connected to everything, and then something else comes up for you to work on, right? But it's all cyclical, and I love that about the work. And it's so individual what you need to work on, when you need to work on it, what it looks like, how you perceive it. All of those things are highly, highly personal. But the drive to do it, to do this work, and to awaken, I think is universal. I know I said a lot there. I'll stop talking now, but I would love to get your perspective on that spiral.
But listen, beautifully said, Mark. And I also see a spiral in a way as an evolutionary process,
Mm.
And since our subject and topic here is awakening, so we are talking about some happy chemistry. We are awakening some joyful chemistry with the new insights about ourselves. As you mentioned, uh, we are to explore this kingdom within, this soul, this heart, this mind, to learn this fantastic biological mechanism that we've been given to experience this earth, this nature. So this is a very wonderful process. I think once when one is awakened, everybody will feel this joyous chemistry. And maybe in a way, our surroundings, this is maybe important to mention. Even our families, old friends, our surroundings can sometimes not be completely understanding to us what is happening to us. We are changing. They cannot see the same person, but this is very, very important to come through. And I think awakening is not at all a selfish act; it's a necessary act. And paying attention to our patterns, both within ourselves firstly, and then within the world.
Mm.
So really firmly realizing that functioning from survival mechanisms, from
Mm.
survival mind, from the ancient
Yeah.
mind, is nothing to work with in a long run. These safety mechanisms that we got built into us, into our brain, they're of course there to help us, to save us in some situations. They can never damp them completely. Awakening process does not mean that these senses are completely turned off, that they will never pop up to save us in a difficult situation or something. But knowing these mechanisms is really key to understanding ourselves better when we explore ourselves within, because then we can give ourselves answers to what is happening now. How can I balance myself out? You mentioned Aini reciprocity, harmony. Today for me, tomorrow, today for you, tomorrow for me.
Mhm.
This is a balance in harmony, which is very necessary to attain, but only through knowledge about ourselves, exploration of this kingdom within Mark. So evolutionary process through this spiraling. That's a beautiful thing, I would say, because this is a part of this exploration and artistry of life, becoming artisans of our life. So that's,
Yeah, I love that. Artisan. To me, and it's one thing I love about, certainly love about talking with you, but also love about the work is when you do it, it brings it down to such a practical level. It's easy to, and I did this for years. I'll be honest with you. I studied religion and world history and indigenous cultures in books for 30 years. And to me, they were just incredibly compelling stories, right? But it didn't penetrate into my soul. It was, a fantasy. But once I started the work, the hard work of clearing my shadows and awakening, and like I said, I'm still doing it. And I think it's a journey of a lifetime. But once I started doing that, all of that knowledge suddenly gained new context. And I started to get why these different cultures across the planet, some that supposedly never had any contact with each other, all have the same exact belief systems. And I kind of got it. It's like, well, they do that because it's true. They're having similar experiences. Whether you want to call it a spiritual experience or awakening experience, they're trying to communicate to us through the ages, through monolithic art and through the records that they kept and left, how this works. And so, the knowledge that we're bombarded with every day in the Western world has only been around for a couple of hundred years at most, right? And some of the stuff that we're talking about has been around since recorded human history. It goes back to, I was just watching the Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix, and some of the cave art, they're redating now with new tools and new context. It goes back 30,000 years. And what's the cave art showing? Well, some of it shows the lifestyle of the people at the time with the animals and things, but a lot of it shows spiritual concepts, higher thinking, higher feeling, right? So I'm saying all that to say this is our legacy as human beings, to reclaim our ability to awaken and connect at this level. And it doesn't require any mediator. It doesn't require permission. It's just who we are. And so, yes, the journey is very individual. And yes, you can find the knowledge and teachers that you need to support you. And I'd like to think that Nikola and I are two of them that can support you. But everything that you need to do it, to do this work, you have. It's who you are. What do you think about that, Nikola?
Well, absolutely agreeing, Mark. Again, as you mentioned, that was your way of realizing something bigger was on play, and you wanted to learn more, and the urge to keep up with this awakening process, for myself personally, let's take it on a personal level. What was key? This was breath work. This was breath work combined with pranayama, yoga, meditation. Focus on something which is quieting the subconscious mind. As we all know, the mind is always chattering away. And even through the practices of challenging our mind through reading some ancient spiritual teachings, or through the disciplines of breath work and physicalities, we will meet some thresholds. We will meet some thresholds in our development, in our progress, where the subconscious mind, the ego will try to tell us, stop now, it will fight for its survival, the ego. But we must challenge ourselves to come over these thresholds, and it is very possible. And once we realize that this is possible, we also in a way open appetite to keep this balance stable, and to keep on getting to know ourselves better, because we really are beings of enormous depths. This is maybe the most fascinating thing about talking about the concept of the kingdom within, exploring, discovering what is within, what is soul, what is heart, what is brain. How do we fit in this picture of the whole? And when we realize this, our responsibility gets that bigger, that much bigger. You know? So awareness about the responsibility, whichever way we come to the point that we feel this oneness, which again is, from my point of view, I don't claim it, but I feel it's very individual. I have heard of individuals that feel oneness on such a level that they even feel pain where the nature is suffering, you know. They are actually feeling down where the nature, Mother Nature is suffering, that people are suffering, you know. There are many kinds of different beautiful human beings out there, and we can reflect in this beauty, you know. We can learn from this beauty, and this bringing beauty to every situation we come to, both in our individual lives and in collective endeavors, you know. Mm-hmm. This is the way maybe of seeking higher knowledge, higher connection to the spirits.
Right. Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I want to pick up on something that you said about the ego, and also about the necessity of approaching this from the concept of balance. So in a lot of modes of thought that are out there right now, the ego is really kind of demonized, like something to be, I've even heard the term ego death, you know, destroy the ego. And that's not really in keeping with the Karo philosophy. It's more about integrating and honoring and loving the ego. The ego has a role and it exists for a reason. And what I found, having gone through some of the cycles, like a lot of you, of really looking at the ego as an adversary, that it will take energy from you to think of it that way. No question in my mind. That was a huge revelation for me. Now, when the ego pops up trying to give me resistance to change or something like that, my reaction is to love it and thank it. Thank you. Yeah, it's scary. Scary to change. I get it. But you know what? You're safe.
Befriend your ego.
Yeah, it's okay. You're safe. We're going to do this. And we're going to be empowered while we're doing it. And one of the ways that it shows up for me, and I'm relating this to a comment that Gio made in the chat about the chemicals in the brain come from the gut. And that's really related a lot to, you know, this concept of balance and how do we approach our awakening journey. This isn't just a spiritual journey, as we've been saying, right? You have to have, you don't have to, but you're going to struggle with a lot of challenge if you don't look at your mind, body, and spirit as a functioning whole. And particularly the body, what do you need? What does the body need to support your awakening journey, right? For me, it was being completely out of balance with chronic pain and being pretty severely overweight. To date, I've lost about 120 pounds. And it, like I was relating before, it was a struggle and such a challenge before to lose weight because I was thinking I had a weight problem. And that's not what my body was telling me. It was telling me, you're out of balance, dude. Pay attention, wake up, and start treating yourself like a functioning whole and stop treating your body like a consumable resource for other things that you want to do, which is exactly what I was doing, right? So I always thought about my body last. Now I think about my body as I'm balancing and awakening. I'm thinking about it pretty close to the top of the list every day, right? Is what does my body need to support? Because I'm still healing. I'm still losing weight. I'm still balancing some of the things that have been out of balance my entire life. So I feel energy and exuberantly healthy in a way that I've never felt, even in my 20s when I was a young man and I was going to the gym every day and I was, you know, being really active. I didn't feel like this then. I still felt like suffering, to not to put too fine a point on it. And I know a lot of you can relate to that, that are doing the work to, be fit and to eat right, but feel like it's suffering to do that, right? And you can feel that way in a lot of different aspects of your life. You're doing it because you know it's the right thing, but man, is it hard, right? Man, is it hard. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. And I still feel that way sometimes. Believe me, I do. But I also now have periods where I'm feeling, wow, I'm in flow. I feel like everything's coming together. And what I'm doing feels like it's what I should be doing and what I want to do and what I'm getting energy doing. I'm getting energy, not giving energy, right? And that's a huge shift on this path of awakening, right? Is feeling this concept of flow we could talk about for hours, but you know what I'm talking about. Flow is this feeling, it's almost indescribable, of you feel like you're doing the right thing, that you're connected to everything, that great things are happening with minimal effort and maximum focus, and it just all comes easy, right? Imagine if you could live that way most or all of the time, right? But that is something that you can experience, I believe, when you focus on this concept of balance, of Aini, right? And stop focusing on all the individual things that you think might be out of balance and you have to fix. There's no fixing. There's only allowing. Allow the universe to come in and help you, because guess what? It's always trying to conspire in your favor. And we get in the way. We stop that, right? The natural state is to be in exuberant health and to be in ecstatic joy. And whenever we're not feeling that is because we're blocking it, right? So the feelings of joy I was describing before, it's not coming from me. I'm feeling it because I got out of the way and let it happen. And that's the universe expressing itself, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So suffering is a choice. The Dalai Lama has famously said this, right? Pain is not optional. Everybody experiences pain, but suffering is optional, right? Because it's based on our perception. So I'll leave it at that. I want to hear from Nico.
Well, absolutely, and I agree with you, Mark. I want to pick up a little bit more on that ego topic. In an abstract way, we can see the ego as our greatest shadow, as our mightiest shadow, And I like the way you said, befriending the ego as the way of understanding our worst shadows and our smallest shadows is also to befriend them. Befriending our shadows is befriending ourselves to the whole as well, because in that way we are more harmonious in our interactions with the people, with the environment, with whomever we meet, and at the first and the last end, meeting ourselves in that way, befriending ourselves. And once more, very important point, this about keeping balance on all four levels of reality, as we shamans know, on the literal level, on the level of the emotions and the mythical and the energetic level. And it all starts at the beginning. And this is the literal level, the body, our vessel. So this chemistry can flow in a balance. And this is the first fundament to creating the balance within our mind. And when we create the balance within the mind, our perception of reality, you mentioned also the word perception and how it shifts, and we're shifting, evolving all the time. As we maintain this harmonic state, and we, in the state of flow, attain more knowledge, more access to spiritual domains, more harmony, more balance is created as well. So the greatest part of the work I would like to mention is having attention to this harmonic state within, which then creates the harmony without and reflects back to us. So
yes,
that's about
beautiful, and that's what we learned from the Pacos, going back to the time of the Inca. Is that's their whole worldview. And interestingly, I've made this connection before, but it's very similar to the African concept of Ubuntu, which in English you can kind of summarize as "I am because we are." And in Aini, that's very much the concept of reciprocity in all things, not just with people, but with the earth, with spirit, with yourself, right? That reciprocity is the way, this is my interpretation, right? There is balance. Balance is, reciprocity is the way to find it, the way to practice it, right? It's very difficult to feel balance unless there's a give and take between you and everything else, right? So it's that old paradigm that seeking, this is more of an Asian concept, right? But seeking will preclude you from finding. You heard that before, right? So it's very important as you're on this journey to not use language and thoughts that put what you're trying to or what you would like to do into the future as something that's unattainable, right? And the word hope is like that. I hope this happens. We all get warm and fuzzy when we talk about hope, and hope can lead you through, and all those things are true, right? But hope can also be a crutch. You can say, I hope this happens, or I hope that someday I'll be able to fill in the blank, right? Hope is not part of that reciprocity thing. Reciprocity and the finding balance, or experiencing balance, rather, is because you're practicing it.
absolutely
right? You're doing it now in a way, and this again is a whole other deep topic, but this is the pathway of awakening that leads us to embracing our destiny, calling in that version of ourselves that looks like the person that we always were meant to be, doing all the things that we were always meant to do in the way we were meant to do them, right? Practicing the balance, experiencing Aini is how that happens. So,
absolutely,
yeah, going back to the balance, going back to the concept of, an integrated approach, bringing this back down to the practical. What can you do? This is your homework, right? What can you do every day to work on this, to experience balance? And a lot of it is not doing something. It's not doing something sometimes. But doing or not doing, it's all part of the balance, right? It's all creating that space for the balance to come in, because the universe is always balanced. We're the ones out of balance. So we need to let it come in. And sometimes it's just by being and embodying rather than doing. It's that kind of masculine, feminine, again, balance, right? So I know that was a lot, but I'll stop talking there. I want Nico, I want you to have the last word, because we're coming up toward the end of our session. But I would love for you to weigh in on that.
Beautiful, Mark. Mark, my brother, everything you said resonates well with me, and to finish this off in a nice and simple way, inner balance. If we're to finish this off with balance, becoming balance will reciprocate balance without completely in our surroundings. So trying in a simple and nice way to say that practicing a humble heart, practicing happiness, practicing love as such, self-love, firstly, radiating outward towards. These three things are such simple but enormously great tools for anybody to come in touch with. And what I would like to give to you guys from this meeting, a tool that can be of some kind of use for you if you are falling out of balance at times, which we all together do at times. We must regain this balance, maintain it to be in harmony. So in my shamanic education, I learned this practice we call decoupling. So this decoupling is a combination of the practice where we're in touch with our heart chakra and with our second chakra. And we're combining this with the breath work. So in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, even if you are sitting on, or even if you choose to lay down on the floor or your bed, flat completely, you can connect with your left arm to your heart chakra and your right arm to your second chakra. This is something that you can, in a way, picture as an infinity loop, which within your heart, your electromagnetic signals from the heart are flowing through your left arm, behind your neck, through your right arm, and down to your second chakra. Second chakra, which we know, which is a very, very great, important chakra for us shamans as healers. And this is a place from which we all create. So rebalancing ourselves quickly in this way, finding ourselves quickly in this way, it's very possible. And this exercise is so nice and easy to learn for everybody that, yes, guys, this I would like to give as a present. This is what I do for myself when I fall out of balance, combining it with breath work. So I hope that you can use it for something. So
thank you, Nikola.
Thank you hereby.
So appreciate that. And so I would like to wrap things up here for this time around. But what I want to leave you with is, if this resonated with you and you would like to perhaps talk to Nico or I individually, I put the contact information down in the description for the event. And for my part, I have a 13-week program that takes you through all the tools of awakening in enough depth to give you a new perspective, new tools for your individual journey. And I can work with you one-on-one as well as a coach. And so I'm just offering that to you. The first meeting, there's no obligation. Just meet each other. Does this seem like the right thing to do? I can kind of give you the details of the program, and we'll go from there. But I would encourage you, if you felt something in your heart that this knowledge resonates with you, reach out, either Nikola or me, and we'd love to talk to you about your journey and what your particular challenges are. And we'll take it from there. We'll let spirit guide us, right?
Yeah.
I love you, and I thank you, as always.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye, everyone.